Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Vivid, your favorite fun-size, pint-size, travel-size therapist, actual doctor of clinical psychology, and I'm so thrilled to be here with Kate Spade, New York. Today, we're going to be talking about LGBTQIA plus issues and the impact they have on our mental health, what our identity means to us during Pride. So I want to know, how does your style lend to how you express yourself?
As a Black woman, it's important to take up space. As a queer woman, it's really important to take up space. And so that usually means like as big of an outfit as I can get. That's where I'm going, or as loud of an outfit as I can get. It's just vitally important, I think, for identities across all queer folk, but for Black femmes especially, it feels really important and like an honor to be able to present in the way that I do.
From femme to femme, I feel that.
Yes. Thank you.
Vivian, what about you?
When I sort of transitioned and started to have the ability to be the woman I always imagined I would be, I kind of was going for this kind of like ideal, perfect woman thing that I felt would somehow validate myself through the eyes of others. And now I really don't care. I just wear whatever I want and whatever makes me feel good. And I don't really worry about how anybody interprets my gender signifiers anymore. I just do what I want.
Amen. Yeah, I love that. That's very freeing. I think for me, it's more in beauty than in clothes. Like I find my self-expression kind of doing more like, I love like really glamorous, like over the top makeup and hair.
The glam fantasy of it all.
The glam fantasy, yes.
Love it. So thinking about our Pride experiences, our mental health experiences, our journeys in this community, I would love to hear one specific instance or experience where you really understood the impact of your identity on your mental health.
Because I talk so freely about the struggles that I've had, I'm gonna sort of flip this question around. It's not so much how it's benefited my mental health, but how I've become a mirror for other folks to be able to embrace their mental health. You know, even walking down the street and I'll see queer folks who may follow me on social and they're just like, I saw you take your medicine on Instagram the other day and I can't tell you what that's done for me, that you normalize that in that way. And so for me, you know, I came up with this mantra, it's a bad day, not a bad life. And that has, you know, really sort of steered not only my life, but the life of folks who I engage with on social who want to see themselves in somebody.
I agree with that. I feel like that's kind of something that I do on my platforms as well, is like really just open up anytime I'm having days where I'm struggling, days where I'm not feeling so great. I feel like as a creator, my instinct is to shut down, to turn off the camera, and a lot of my audience are LGBTQIA plus people all across the US and the world who don't get to see, you know, creators like themselves having those mental health moments. So I think it's really cool to be able to show to them it's okay to not be okay. Yeah.
I have been stared at my whole life because I've been different, and I just normalized that and was so used to being looked at. One of the wonderful gifts of early Pride experiences for people, where you go someplace and you're like normal. And I called it the luxury of normality, because I had never experienced that before, where I was like, I was there, I was myself, I wasn't erased, but nobody cared.
You weren't the spectacle.
I could just float around and be myself.
Yes.
And it was really, I cried, because I'd never experienced that before. And so I think that is one of the wonderful gifts that Pride gives to people that make their way to their community for the first time.
So I talk about the value of understanding your past self and your future self a lot in therapy sessions. And I always say to my clients now, your past self, your younger self, your little self is so proud of you. And I want to know what message you have for your younger self, your little self, that is so proud of you right now. What would you say to them?
I mean, first, easy on the eyebrows. The first thing I'm gonna say.
Same.
To my younger self, I think that the biggest thing I would say is kind of going off of your statement of it's okay to not be okay. Take those moments, have a crying session, and then let's rebuild ourselves. Let's pick ourselves back up. Because, I mean, if I'm looking at my younger self now, I'm saying, look at me now. We made it. So it's gonna be okay. And always to be grateful.
I had so many dreams when I was a kid, and I didn't really see how they could come true because of how I was allowed to be and what I saw as far as like trans people around me. They were so limited as far as role models or anything go. So I guess I would tell myself that all of the things that I believed were possible and that I deserved love and that I could have a family and all of that, because I still have a hard time with that.
For my younger self and also for my current and older self, I would tell myself, baby, it might not always work, but it's gonna always work out.
So, what are you guys getting into for Pride? Shenanigans, parties, alone time? Let me know.
I have literally performed every gay pride since 1991. So that's what, 30 years now? So whether I march in a parade during the day or not, and I usually do, I end up on a stage at the end of the night performing for my people.
This is going to be the first Pride that I take my children. So they can experience and understand a little bit more about mommy's world and get that experience young so they can formulate their own interpretations about themselves and how they connect with the community.
You know, gay Christmas, as we call Pride in my house, you know, it's something that we being queer and living out loud is a revolution in of itself. And so we practice that all 12 months of the year. So I don't wait until Pride the same way I don't wait until Valentine's to tell my partner how much I value them. And so it's just, you know, really becomes a yearly, all year round practice.
There are younger members of our community and people who may not be younger but are still trying to find themselves and figure out where they fit and how they can best express and represent themselves when it comes to their mental health and their identity. So what gems would you pass along to someone on their journey right now?
A big part of my transition and just everything is time. And when you're young, you want to rush through everything and you want to get everything done and you want to make sure you're living your life your most authentic self. Totally valid, natural human emotion. But I always tell myself this, and I pass this along to a lot of my followers as well. The two most important warriors in life are patience and time. And if you have those two, you can literally conquer the world.
And I would add to that the truth changes. You know, because when we're young, we're trying so hard to figure out who we are and where we fit in and how we should be. And you just want an answer. And you come to that answer and you're like, this is my answer finally. And that is your answer in that moment. And it's fine. And that answer might change. And don't feel bad like you were fooling yourself or anything. It's all about evolution.
You know, for me, I think because I have clinical diagnoses, and a lot of times, especially probably in the last 10 years, the word mental health or self-care has become so overly homogenized and sort of the last frontier. You know, you think about mental health or self-care as like you go to the spa or you go get a massage, but nobody says the quiet parts out loud that sometimes you have to go to the mental health hospital or you have to take medicine. And, you know, removing the shame from whatever your needs are is just so vitally important. You know, I feel like we're getting there, but just making sure that people know you have to do what you have to do. Arming myself with that information, I'm better for it. Yeah. I'm a better me, I'm a better partner, I'm a better, you know, just a better, all around better human.
Yeah.
For being armed with that.
Yeah, that's your truth. You know, I'm a clinician, but I'm also a client. I have my own therapist, and being queer creates sometimes different pockets of anxiety as I'm navigating my identity. And I take medication, and I tell my social media followers it's okay. You have to chase what makes you feel complete. Thank you, Kate Spade, New York, for holding space for the LGBTQIA+ community and room for our mental health.